we haven't talked to you since the game was moved. So what's the reaction been, and how has this changed what your approach to this week?
It hasn't changed much as far as our approach. We're gonna approach it that we're getting ready for Pittsburgh. We're going to focus in on the things that we need to do to give ourselves the opportunity to win a football game. I told the guys, you got to stay fluid and just got to be ready to handle anything that changes, anything that moves, and let's not make a big deal about it, because again, the focus really is to play the game.
And then it also impacts what you have coming up after that, because now you have a short week going out west.
Right.
Do you give any thought, like how far out do you have now? Do you plan differently?
No, we won't worry about that game until we get to that week.
I know we asked you a lot about Chase Young, but it seems like Deron Payne and those interior guys are having a good year as well. Could you evaluate the interior of the defensive line and what you feel you're getting from them?
Well, I think we're still learning and growing. I do like what we are getting from them. They're physical up front. They're learning to get vertical into that crease. They're learning how to play through it. There's a little bit more to it than just being a big body up front. And those guys, John, Jonathan, Timmy, I think those guys really give us something special. They're a good group, and they do miss Matt Ioannidis. I think, when we have everybody up there up front, I think we can be pretty formidable.
When you talk about that unit and the run stopping, how different is what you're asking them to do from what they've done in years past?
It's very different. Yeah, this is a group of guys that we're taught to two gap to really take a guy right down the middle. We're trying to get these guys used to playing into a crease. We're trying to get these guys used to playing doubles, and trying to hold or split those doubles. And it's an important aspect to this defense. And I think as these guys continue to work in it and get better and better, I think our defense will get better and better.
Rhiannon, do we have you?
Yeah, Charlie was saying I'm after Pete, so if you guys want to do that order, that's fine with me, or I could go right now. But
you can go, Reed.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, thank you guys, appreciate it. Hey, Ron, just with Brandon Sheriff, we talked about how you grade somebody when he's had to do, a bunch of different variations of playing partners and things of that nature. I'm just kind of curious with you, how have you evaluated him in the time that you've gotten to know him? I know that was a big part of looking at him in his contract extension. Do you feel like you've gotten a better sense of how he is as a person, his playing style? Do you kind of feel like he's one of the better guards in the NFL, just kind of being around him for this last few months?
I really like what we're getting from him. I think he's done a great job. He really has. And it doesn't matter who he lines up next to. He's a great communicator, and I think that's as important as it gets. Does a great job. He and Chase really are really good together in terms of their combinations. And watching him with Morgan has been really cool. But he's handled David Sharp really nicely. He's helped David out an awful lot. And I think those, when you have a guy like that, it really doesn't matter who you put next to him. He's going to be able to communicate and get things worked out. And that's what he's shown us.
And then in terms of going into hostile environments, one of the things you used to talk about is what it was like playing at RFK Stadium with this team. Washington has never beaten Pittsburgh at Heinz Field, and all the time they've been there, it's been a long time. What is it to going into a hostile environment or a place where a team has never won? I just want to know, from your experience, what that's like going into those kind of places.
Well, going into a hostile environment, really, it's about if you can keep your focus on the game and not worry about the environment more so than anything else, because, people get caught up in those notions. And sometimes they worry way too much. One of the things that I've always felt is that sometimes when you get ready for an opponent, coaches can spend way too much time about how great the opponent is. And hell, before you know it, you scared the crap out of your team. So again, the focus really is about them, about, yourself, as opposed to worrying about the opponent so much. Yeah, you attack what the opponent does, and then you go from there. And so whether you're going into a hostile environment or not, let's keep the focus on playing the game. Showing up and playing the game.
Thank you, Ron.
All righty, Ree.
Hey, Ron. The question on Monday about free agent signings had me thinking, how's your relationship with Kyle Smith progressing, and how often are you guys interacting during the season?
Well, I think it's pretty good. We work through the things that we need to work through, and that's probably the biggest thing. If something comes up, we'll communicate it, and if not, there's not much more to communicate. So we'll just continue to work on the things that we're working on. As far as I'm, out there practicing with the guys, and we're getting ready for our next game. And, Kyle and his guys are watching tape and getting ready for, free agency and the draft.
Do you view him as a pretty crucial piece here going forward as you try to build this franchise up?
Yeah, I think he's done a nice job for us. And again, as we continue to go forward, I think the biggest thing more so than anything else is, we got to make sure we're all on the same page.
Nikki?
Ron, ahead of the 2019 draft, I know the circumstances were different in Carolina, but how much did you look at Terry McLaurin when he was coming out of Ohio State?
We looked at Terry, we did, and he's somebody that we did like. He was on our board. If we had the opportunity, we would have taken him right after Washington took him. To be honest, I mean, taking him here, was very beneficial for us now. And I believe we had pretty much the same type of grade on him as this organization had on him.
And when you look back at that time to where he is now, are there certain areas where you feel like he's made the biggest strides?
Oh yeah, on his route running. I mean, that was always one of the things. One thing about Terry you saw really was Terry ran routes, but the one thing you saw him do though is he ran a lot of the jet sweep stuff. And so you always wondered what kind of true route runner he was. And that was always one of the concerns. If he were coming out now, he's definitely a first round pick.
Thanks.
Ron, I'm not sure what your normal, Wednesday schedule would be like after this point, but is it weird to have this? I guess weird, everything's weird these days, but is it a little odd to have this game on a Wednesday afternoon football? And will you sit and watch it as it's going on? Or you just watch it the next day? What's your?
No, I will watch it. Every now and then when you watch something on TV, you get something. Sometimes the announcers say something that makes sense. Something they've heard or something they've seen, and so that's why you always try to go back and watch the TV copy, especially in a big game. And by that I mean like a Monday night, a Thursday night, a Wednesday afternoon. You listen for something, and something always comes through.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
JP?
Ron, I'm all set. I just wanted you to know we do a weekly show where we replay the latest Washington football game. If you ever want to watch that.
Do you?
Yeah, it was a fun one after the Cowboys game.
Believe me, though, yeah, I could appreciate that.
I'm all set. Thanks, Coach.
At Paris?
Hey, Ron. Kind of following up on the free agency stuff we talked about Monday. Do you think with the salary cap being lower next year, will that cause more teams to look for those? I don't want to say bargains, but those lower contracts, and what does it do for the teams that do have cap space?
Well, it's going to be interesting. It really is. The teams that don't have cap space are going to have to find it or let some players go. Those that don't have cap space, are going to have to make some good decisions, because there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to be available.
And then following up on Heather's question too about will you guys do anything as a team to watch the game, or are players focused on their meetings and they'll just watch the game, or you watch it with
players will be focused in on their meetings. And it's kind of part of the situation we're in now, because we have to meet virtually. And so, we can't bring them in right away and get done right away so that they can go home and watch it right away. So they'll probably end up having to watch it tomorrow or later tonight if it's replayed.
Thanks.
Hey, Ron, this is Darren. There are some fans and maybe even some players who are concerned about this Ravens game that's going on today. There wasn't enough time in between the positive tests and stuff like that. How concerned are you in regards to your health and the health of your players that it could get worse if these two teams play and COVID is spread maybe during this game, and then it affects you guys when you play Pittsburgh next week?
Well, what's going to happen is, those guys will continue to test, and we'll see. Am I concerned? Absolutely, I'm concerned, Darren. I mean, again, it's what's happening, and we've just got to pay attention to the testing. We got to pay attention to the protocol, and we've got to do everything we're supposed to be doing. And hopefully, the testing is good enough so that it protects us all. I mean, we need to hope that, or else, we're not going to be able to play games, and you guys aren't going to be able to show the games, and you guys are going to have anything to talk about.
Just one quick follow-up on Jonathan Allen. He was in foster care when he was younger, and he's doing a lot of stuff during this holiday season. to help these kids who are in foster care by if it's computers and stuff like that. What can you say about Jonathan Allen and his personality and what kind of man he is?
Well, from what I've gotten to know about Jonathan, he's a very sincere guy, a very hardworking guy. I didn't know about his work with foster care, but I think that's outstanding. I really do. I think, the opportunity to give back to these communities is very important, and I've always said that one thing that we got to do as players is make sure we give back to the communities that are supporting us and cheering for us. And I think that's truly important.
We'll take 3 more. Les, Sam, and
Thanks, Ron.
Howard.
Hey, Ron. As Alex continues this comeback, are you kind of curious to see how he will or is it maybe a little bit of a test these next 2 games with these defenses that he'll be facing on the road and kind of on the road in Arizona?
Yeah. Everything's a test. Every week is a test. And, we'll see how it goes. It's a test, not just for him, but it's a test for us. It's a test for our football team, and we'll find out.
Thanks.
Hey, Ron, how does the team's most recent game film kind of factor into your study when you're preparing for a week? I know it probably depends on matchups and schemes and things like that, but how important is the last game for a team when you're studying them in a game week?
Well, it's really important. What's going to be interesting is that the style of defense that plays too. Baltimore plays a different style of defense compared to our style. So I'm not sure how much of that tape will be good for our defense, and vice versa in terms of the offense. It really depends on, what kind of offense Baltimore rolls out there. Because again, if there's no similarities, then you're really just watching the individuals that are playing as opposed to the schemes. It would be very, very valuable if they were playing, if Baltimore's offense was very, very similar to us and their defense is very, very similar to us.
Thank you.
Howard, last one.
Hi, Ron. I wanted to ask you about Antonio Gibson and whether there was a moment you could point to in a game, a practice, even a conversation with him where you sort of knew what you had with him at running back?
Oh, wow. Gosh. I don't know if we can really say we exactly know what we have. I think we know we potentially are getting, and that's what's exciting is the possibilities. There's been a lot of great moments so far already that you say, wow, man, that's pretty good. But to say we know what the finished product's going to be right now is a little premature. But is potential there? Most certainly. Has he shown us some things that get you excited? Absolutely. And again, I'll continue to say this. And right now, I compare his running style to Arian Foster. I like who the young man can be for us. I like the way he runs the ball. He's got good body lean when he runs. He's got deceptive speed and burst, and he's got good vision. He's learning to be the kind of runner that we hope he can be for us. And his skill set of catching the ball in the backfield, we really haven't even gotten to that point yet either.